Okay, guys, I am really excited to be awake and with you guys tonight. It's been really fun going back and forth between Jordan and me and, kind of trying to figure out what you need and kind of where we all are in our businesses. And I was praying about kind of what to share with you guys. And I remembered this Bob Heilig training that I had listened to way back when. And I know it was the Lord because, it's not something that I've even thought about since, like for nearly 3 years now. And I just decided, you know what, this is what we need to talk about tonight. And so I hope that it's something that speaks to you where you are in your business or just in your life in general. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and we are going to get rolling. All right, so tonight's title is Edit Your Story to Elevate Your Success. Has anyone ever heard of a core story? Like, has that term ever been said to you? Like, what's your core story? Have you ever heard of that? You can unmute and say yes or no or whatever. Or is this all brand new to you? I had never heard of a core story until I listened to Bob Heilig's training. And by the way, Bob has a lot of really great stuff. He's a Christian man, and a lot of his teachings are kind of centered around Christ and scripture. So I love that.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Okay, well, buckle up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how your core story will control your success. Okay, so we all have a core story. And in fact, we probably have several core stories around, just our day-to-day life, our profession, our family. But a lot of times, what you're going to find is your core story is rooted either in fear or in love. And we're living out that story. But the question is, what are you allowing to write your story? Are you allowing fear or love to write this for you? Um, and I just want to share a little bit I mean, I'm not like the super touchy-feely person, so sometimes being vulnerable is difficult for me. And probably when I share what I'm about to share, it'll make more sense why. But a lot of times our core story is rooted in things from our past, whether it was something somebody said to you, something the home you grew up in, maybe the school you went to, the friends you were around, and that our experiences with other people begin to shape what we believe about ourselves, right? So I can remember one example. I was in high school and it was just like a miscommunication between my dad and me. And I got home a little later after school than he was anticipating. And it was just like we didn't have cell phones back then. I couldn't call him and tell him that, we got stuck on the road and I was going to be late and all of that. I get home and he was so mad. And my dad's a wonderful man and just loves Jesus, raised us really well, but he had really high expectations. And he was so mad. And he told me, I will not have anyone that's anything less than perfect living under my roof. And I was 18 years old, about to go out into the world on my own. And that was a punch in the gut because I was like, I can't be perfect. But because that was the expectation, and he probably didn't even literally mean that, but at 18 years old, that's what I took out of that. And so that has carried into a lot of my adulthood. And so in respect to my Plexus business, um, there has been times that I have been afraid to do things in my business because I was afraid it wouldn't be perfect. And it has really held me back. And so that's something that I really had to work to overcome is getting uncomfortable, whether it's going to be perfect or not. Another thing that has happened to me that has really bled into my Plexus business is I remember one time my sister-in-law told me that that people didn't like me and they just tolerated me because they thought I was fake. And y'all, that cut really deep because that's the last thing I want to be. And so getting involved in a large group of women, in a community of women and leading women is really scary for me because I'm afraid people are just tolerating me. And so it has made me hold back in some areas and not be vulnerable. And so that's something that I am overcoming in my business. And that those are core stories that I am working to rewrite and overcome, right? So just to put that in perspective, so I want you to be thinking about some things as we go along that maybe have happened to you in your past that have caused you to believe lies and have allowed fear to creep into your business, okay? All right. So, when we're talking about core stories, there are two types. There's a red light story and a green light story. A red light story is something that you believe about yourself that's rooted in fear. You can recognize this in your business when you notice yourself having a scarcity mindset, like maybe you're doing reach outs and you're thinking, I really need to reach out to 5 people, but I don't even not know 5 people. You kind of have a negative twist on doing your work. You're always comparing. You don't ever feel like what you're doing is good enough because somebody else is doing it better. Your self-worth is tied to things like likes, follows, virtual office points, maybe how many people commented on your post, things like that. A person who is living and working their business in a red light story will often play the victim and blame others for their lack of success. Um, Focusing on past failure and lack of results will also be an indicator that you are operating in a red light story. So I want you to think about these little characteristics that we just went through, and I want you to think about your business, and I want you to think of a red light story that maybe you've caught yourself believing. It could be, I don't know enough people, so I'm not going to be successful. Or maybe even something like, I am not very outgoing, so I won't be a good leader. Or I don't have enough time to do this because I'm just too busy. So take a couple seconds and think about it. And I would like for a couple of people to unmute and share a red light story that maybe they've been believing in their business.
I'll go. Wait, were you asking? Wait,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Mine was probably since I didn't have any social media starting, like to start like at all. Mine would probably be that I don't know what I'm doing because I don't even know how to work Instagram.
Mm, yeah, it's a good one. Bad one. Bad, good one. I don't know.
See, that's so funny for me to hear because my red light story absolutely is focused around social media because um I hate it. And literally all of my friends, like my 20 closest friends, they don't do social media. So it comes with judgment, of like people who post their lives and do social media. So that's something I still like struggle with and have to overcome. And then I look at Allie and she's doing all these like super cute things on social media and I do not even know how to do it. And so there's like an age dysfunction there also that I'm like, I'm just too old for social media. So I know none of those are true, but they are big like hangups for me that I like overthink what like how do I do this or what do I say? And so like social media, not being good at social media is a story for me.
I had a huge red light story after going Emerald, which is so crazy because one thing you will hear leaders say is new levels, new devils. So I had created this whole story around I went Emerald, but then we went back in numbers. So I was kind of like one of those leaders who just went Emerald and it was a mistake or whatever, like whatever that story, which is crazy because you can think about having like over 1,000 points in your back office and being like, I'm a bad leader. And that was just like such a red light story because I wasn't where I wanted to be and my I was definitely tying my worth up in points in that, which it's we reverse that. It's not true.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking the same thing, Jordan, and it's interesting because um the enemy's a liar. Like it says he's the father of lies. He can't tell the truth, right? And he also doesn't have any new material. So what he's telling one person, he's telling a lot of people. So you're gonna find that when you open up about these things with your sponsor, with your sideline sisters, with your downline, your upline, you're gonna find that all of these red light stories are stories we've all told ourselves. And so just remember when you hear those lies, the opposite is true. Okay. So now we're going to talk about green light stories. So a green light story is rooted in love. And y'all, I love this because, you know, I love that we can bring God into every part of our life. He wants to be in the middle of our business. He wants to be in the middle of raising kids. He wants to be in the middle of retirement. He wants to be in the middle of everything, right? Because he loves us and he created us to be something really spectacular and special. He thought the world needed you so much that he created one of you, right? And we lose sight of that because we do the comparison game and we think about our failures and where we're missing the mark, and we forget that God intentionally created us to share our gifts with the world, right? And so when you shift the narrative and you start focusing on your story from a place of love, you're going to find that you feel worthy and your story will be rooted in worthiness. Your belief in yourself will be that you're capable, that you are able to do scary things. You're going to see yourself and your talents as valuable to the people around you, to the world around you, and you're going to be excited to share those talents with other people. And most importantly, you're going to be accepting of who God created you to be. So, in our business, that may look like doing a training because the Lord put something on your heart and you have the confidence to do it. Or maybe it's just going and sharing boldly with people, whether you're scared or not, because you believe that God has given you something worth sharing, right? Um, so let's think about this for a minute. Like we've been talking about operating in this negative mindset, these red light stories. How would your business feel different and look different if you were living it out in a green light story? Think about that for a second, and then I want you to unmute and tell me how you think your business would look different. I know for me, whenever I catch myself in a negative headspace and I flip it, one shift that I see in my business is that I operate in a lot more joy, which then brings a lot more energy to my conversations and it just changes how I feel about my business. I mean, the enemy wants us to stay in the dumps about things so that we convince ourselves that we're not good at it and all of that. But when you bring that joy back in, it really does change how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your business.
Amy, I have to agree with that. Honestly, I was trying to mute myself before you started. Um, I would say like joy, but also more confident. I mean, because I think that's where my red light story um, is in my profession. There's so many people that have told me that I've been wrong, and that I am not as qualified as a doctor or anything like all of those things. And so that's always kind of been stuck in the back of my mind. And I think that that hurts my business because I don't have that confidence in myself to feel or just to be bold. Like, hey, I do know what I'm talking about. Even if it is new to me, like I still can go figure it out. I still know exactly how the body works and all of those things. And so, um, my green light story would just be just have more confidence, a lot more smiles. So,
I love that. It's amazing, just how just that one thing will change your conversations with people. Anybody else want to share theirs? Okay, so I want to pause for 3 minutes and we're just going to do kind of a little interactive. Actually, you know what? We'll wait 1 second. We'll do that in just a second. Okay, has anybody ever heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy? Yeah, most people have heard this. This is a psychology term. If you haven't heard it yet, you probably will at some point. My minor was in psychology, so this is something that we hit on a lot in college, and it's really very interesting because you can literally see this in people's lives. So it's living out your life based on somebody else's opinion or negativity. So a good example of this would be a child who grew up in a home and their parents told them you'll never amount to anything. You'll never make anything of yourself. You're always gonna live on food stamps, whatever. And they grow up and they've grown up believing that about themselves, so they have no ambitions. They don't go for anything out of their comfort zone. Most of them won't go to college just because they believe that they will never amount to anything. They end up in jail, all of these things. And that's a very extreme case, right? I mean, but we believe things that people have told us. And honestly, y'all, if you've never heard this before, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. Um, you don't want to know. Like if somebody says, you know what, I heard somebody said something about you. I'm like, I don't want to know. Please don't tell me. Do me a favor, keep it to yourself, you know? Because unfortunately, when we hear those things, it becomes this tape recorder, right? That plays over and over and over in our heads. And somebody can say, oh my gosh, you're the most amazing person. I just love you. And they can just fill us up with all this wonderful ooey gooey stuff, but we don't remember those things, right? We remember the harsh things and the ugly things, and those are the tape recorders that continue to play. And so then we let that stuff bleed into our business, our life, our relationships, and we accept those things, and therefore, well, I'll never be successful as a Plexus coach because I'm not qualified, or because no one wants what I have to offer. Nobody's going to trust me. All of these things that then I'm going to be a failure because, right? And that's where that fear creeps in. Maybe I can't help somebody share, and maybe I can't have a team because, or maybe I'm not ever going to earn the Cancun trip because XYZ, right? Um, and so let's um let's apply some of the stuff that we've learned. This is what let's take a few minutes and I'm going to pause the recording. And what we're going to do is we're just going to apply a little bit of what we've learned. So we're going to write one red light story that you've been telling yourself about your business. And then I want you to rewrite that story into a green light story. So maybe um I'm not good at recruiting. And you can rewrite that to I have something that is valuable and people need. So think about your business and let's just take a few minutes here. I will maybe not pause. Okay. How was that? Was it a little uncomfortable? Does anybody want to share with me, with us? Okay. This would also be a great place for you guys to start digging into the F formations that Jordan has trained us on before. And I'm sure she has a recording on that. If you know, if you want it, you can probably ask her. I bet she can dig it up out of her YouTube or go to her channel and find it because this is a great way for you to start retraining your brain. Okay, let's go. Okay, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford said that, and that is so true. What you believe about yourself is what's going to expand. So if you really think you can't, you're absolutely right because that's what you're going to keep telling yourself, and you won't do the work to get beyond that. But if you think you can, you're absolutely right because you've been given everything that you need to be successful. You just have to do it. And you just got to keep doing it and repeating that over and over and over. Y'all, we have people in our organization that have gone all the way to the top and are literally feeding us what we need to be successful. So the reality is your success doesn't boil down to if you have what it takes or not. It's if you believe that you can do it or not. So let's see if we can start making that shift. So what is possible for you if you rewrite your story? So I want you guys to be thinking about that over the coming days and weeks. And just I want you to start each day, or even if you're starting your IPA for the day, I want you to think and stop yourself and go, am I operating from a red light story right now? Or am I operating from a green light story? And start making that shift before you even start your IPA. What is your mindset like going into it? Are you going to get through your IPA with joy? Or are you going to get through it with drudgery and believing that nothing good is going to come of it? When those negative beliefs pop up, I want you to just stop and rewrite it. Catch yourself and reframe it. Okay. Some people are really great at journaling. That is not something I have ever really done. But if you're a journaler, this is a great thing for you to start journaling on daily. Get those things out on paper. And, you know, sometimes it's just like the physical act of shredding a thought that's on paper, like write it, shred it, and discard it. And then rewrite the truth and keep that where you can see it. So, uh, anybody have any tips or tricks for keeping that in front of you that you'd like to share?
Actually, I was just typing this out, but I'll just say it. My husband actually is like, well, not so much anymore, but he used to talk really negatively about himself. And so when he would, like, I don't know, he would say, like, I'm dumb or something, right? I would stop him and make him say, I'm not dumb. And then he had to give himself two compliments. And it has really, really helped. I mean, it's taken years, but now he is doing a thing where every morning he writes on our mirror three things about himself and to our kids. And so they're just affirmations that I read to the boys and that he writes every morning and then he reads them out loud to himself. So that's helped him a lot.
I love that. That's a really good tip. Um, Something we all should start doing. Take the negative, and now you have to say at least two positives. I love that. Awesome. Well, I know,
Kelsey, we do the same thing. These are my kids' affirmations. They get to write whatever they want. So,
yeah,
yep, we do the same thing. And it helps so much.
I love that. Yep. I love that so much. You guys are awesome. Well, I know this was a little bit of a heavy topic. It made you do a little bit of digging, and sometimes that feels uncomfortable. But y'all, we can sit and think that we just have the wrong business strategy all day long. But in reality, most of our difficulty in our business is between our ears. And if we can start figuring out what stories we're telling ourselves and reprogram that, y'all, the strategies will be easy because we've got this right. So you guys just, I'm so proud of you, and you guys are being faithful to show up and do the work. So let's get our minds right and let's go finish this month strong, y'all. We have so much month left, and I just can't wait to see what comes of it.